Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another wonderful episode of Zeke-ollege football. I'm your host, as always, Zeke, and today we're going to do another continuation of my ranking series. So, if you don't already know, this is going to be technically part four, but the second different tier. So, we're going to cover the dislike tier here today. So these are all the teams that I would say I dislike in college football. So we're going to go through these and place them down on the list. We reached up to 120. Uh, so if your team makes it, they're in the top 120. But we're going to go through it and try to get through this dislike tier. All right, starting off with my least favorite team out of all of these. Hmm. This certainly is a tough one. I It's going to be a controversial pick here. I think I'm going to go with Georgia Southern. So Georgia Southern, there are plenty more teams that I care about in the Sun Belt than the Georgia Southern Eagles. And to me, they are just blue Alabama. And not because of their quality, but just simply because that is what their uniforms are. They are just a blue version of Alabama. Next up, I think we're gonna go with Penn State here. Now, there is no team that I will root harder for than Penn State when they face off against Ohio State or when they face off against like a team like Nebraska or Oklahoma. But if you ask me if I would root for Penn State under most circumstances, the answer would probably be no. I think although their uniforms are very classic, I think they're a tad dull. So probably would avoid, probably would avoid them. Um, let's see. Coming up next, think, and again, like I said in the last part, so if you haven't watched the last part, go ahead and watch that one to get a kind of feel for how we do things here. But I am not going into it with anything other than which teams do I like more or less. So I don't have a script for this. I did not plan out which teams I'm going to put where. I'm just entering into the video and you're watching my thought process live. Well, it's not live. Like I'm not recording this and then you guys are like typing in the comments live. You know what I mean. Um, Let me go Stanford next. Now, the tough part about Stanford is they've had teams that I've really enjoyed. That's not how you spell cardinal. They've had teams that I really enjoy in the past. There just is nothing there for me right now. And with their move to the ACC, they feel out of place. I prefer Cal a lot more for West Coast ACC football, which feels wrong to say, but that's the world we're living in. There just isn't anything to write home about for Stanford, for me at least. There isn't anything that's really drawing me to that team saying, hey, you have to root for this team. I think we're gonna mix it up a little bit. So we've gone for the uh group of five, then two power fives. I think we're gonna go back to the group of five level and take out a team that really disappointed me, and that's Western Michigan. Uh, Western Michigan, again, I went through this in my putting the teams in tiers video, but they had what I would say were pretty good uniforms, and then they decided to ruin them. Western Michigan football uniforms, let's say 2017. So they looked something like this. Now, it looks like Purdue, but it's so much better than what they have now. Their color scheme right now is brown and white with hints of yellow thrown in there. They're discount Wyoming. The reason why they are not all the way down in the Wyoming tier is because they don't use that yellow accent very often. So more often than not, it's just brown and white, which is still not a great color scheme, but it's better than throwing yellow in there and making me think of the bathroom. Let's see what else we can do. I think now is the time for Florida State. Um, so Florida State, again, it's another program where I like a lot of the players that come out of there, but I just can't find myself rooting for them. And I think it's partially the fact that I like their rivals more than them. I like Miami better. I like Florida better. Part of it is the Seminole War chant. It gets very annoying sometimes. But nothing against the coaching staff, nothing against the players. It's just I don't like the team. So they're sitting in at 115, coming in at 114. Let's see. We're gonna put down Temple. Um, and the reason why I'm putting down Temple is because part of their identity is that they don't really have their own stadium. They use Lincoln Financial Field, the home of the Philadelphia Eagles, and they do not have that same home atmosphere that other teams have here. Beaver Stadium, I can respect. Doak Campbell, I can respect. Bryant Denny, even I can respect. Memorial Stadium in Lincoln, Nebraska. The shoe, like they're classic atmospheres that are in here, and Temple just doesn't really have that much atmosphere around their program. And it's sad to see, but that is the reality of the situation. I'm gonna put BYU next. I like Kalani Sitake, I do. Uh, but BYU, at least for me, doesn't occupy a lot of headspace. And while I think that their uniforms have gotten better recently, I just I don't find myself really rooting for them. And their quarterback situation next year just doesn't really appeal to me. So BYU, at least for next year, coming in at 113. I like them better with Zach Wilson at the helm, but that obviously turned out the way that it turned out. Um, let's see. Coming up next, we're gonna take out the Ohio Bobcats. So Ohio Bobcats coming in at 112. Uh, again, another team that has dealt with some problems in the transfer portal. Um, I just I don't I'm not a huge fan of their color scheme. Uh, So that's one of the reasons why they're this low. Also, when I'm looking at teams in the MAC that I tend to root for, they're not uh, high on that list as well. Uh, After that, I think I'm gonna go. Hmm. Let's see. This is where it gets tough. I'm gonna go with Duke. Um, Duke Blue Devils are gonna go at 111. They're a team for me that I liked them a little bit more last year, with Mike Elko at the helm. I don't have anything against Manny Diaz, just don't have that connection with him in the Duke program yet. Malik Murphy is fine, but a lot of the reasons why I was looking out for Duke have left. So, uh, as we are continuing to chug along in this dislike tier, sorry if I seem a little low energy. It's been a little bit of a long day for me. I came back from work earlier today, so I had to wake up earlier than I normally wake up. But you know, hopefully you guys are liking this series. I would love to hear some feedback. So if you've gotten to this point in the video, um, I that either means that yes, you like the videos, or you have left this on autoplay. In which case, go wake up and like the video, subscribe if you haven't. And again, I would love to hear some more feedback on what I can do to make this series better. If there is still interest in this series, I think there is. I've gotten some positive messages about it. Let's see. We're gonna take out the Marshall Thundering Herd next. Similarly to what I said about a team like Georgia Southern, there is just more teams in the Sun Belt that I like better than Marshall. So I find myself rooting for other Sun Belt teams over Marshall a bunch. Um, let's see what else. We're gonna take out Rutgers. Um, so the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. I'm excited to see Athen Kaliakmanis there, the Greek freak Athen Kaliakmanis. But it's it's Rutgers football. Um, and I have my own personal vendetta against New Jersey. Uh, so if any of my viewers are from New Jersey, I don't have a vendetta against you. Um, Mostly the drivers from New Jersey, though. I've had some close calls there. Let's see. We're going to take out SMU now. First season in the ACC, and not even close to being the first ACC team that I eliminate. But Southern Methodist. The Mustangs coming in at 108. They're just they're a team that is good, but I'm not a huge fan of white helmets, and they wear a lot of white helmets. I think their only helmets are white, and it just does not work for me. I'm sorry. Um, Speaking of a team that mostly wears white helmets, we are going to take out the Tennessee Volunteers now. Recent College World Series winners. Um, and part of the reason why they're going this low is because of Twitter. Vol fans on Twitter are a different breed. So be nicer to people on social media, and maybe you'll your team will be higher. That's a thought. Um, Coming in at 106, we're gonna have Tulsa. Tulsa Golden Hurricane, and they're another team where uh there just isn't that much for me to write home about. At least this upcoming year, I think they're gonna be eh. In the American Conference, they're probably gonna be maybe lower lower tier in the American Conference. Most likely not gonna make a bowl game, given my current predictions for them. Uh After them, put Utah State. Now, scratch that. I'm not putting Utah State. I'm going to put a different team because I remembered something that I wanted to talk about with them. I'm going to put Louisiana Tech next. The Louisiana Tech Bulldogs um, are a team that I often forget about. But last year they had something of note, even if it wasn't a lot. They had a player in Hank Bachmeier who I was like, well, he came over from Boise State. He was replaced by Taylor Green. I wonder how he'll do at a different school. Was he a system quarterback per se? He was. And in the Hank Bachmeier sweepstakes, after he left Louisiana Tech, he is currently heading over to 104, the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. So both of these teams, the Hank Bachmeier teams, will be at 105 and 104 as we approach 103. There are only going to be three more teams that do not make my top 100, so I have to be very, very careful here. One of those teams that's not going to make my top 100 is going to be Miami of Ohio. And they're solely up this high because I like one player on their team. I like their quarterback, Brett Gabbert, younger brother of Missouri legend Blaine Gabbert, two-time Super Bowl champion Blaine Gabbert. Um, but yeah, it's actually, is he a three-time? We're gonna do a quick sidetrack here. Is he a three-time Super Bowl champion? No, he's just a two-time because he was not on the Chiefs for their second Super Bowl win, but he was for the most recent one. So good old two-time champ Blaine Gabbert. He has uh, one more ring than Aaron Rodgers does. So what a crazy world we live in. But yeah, Miami of Ohio coming in at 103. At the 102 spot, we are going to place down another SEC team. So I want you to pick a team that you think will go at 102 in your head. Okay, say it out loud because I can't hear what you're saying. If you said it out loud and you chose drum roll, ooh, if you did a drum roll, thank you, thank you. If you chose Texas A&M. You would be correct. Texas A&M coming in at 102. The Aggies are a very proud program with not a lot to show for it. Um, so it's really interesting to see how even a modicum of success will make them feel so powerful, so strong. Coming in at 101 is going to be the poor Rice Owls. I just can't find a reason to like them. I like the food rice. Sad when that's the first thing I think of. Um, but I distinctly remember watching a game in when I was first becoming a fan, and I think it was Texas who was playing them, and I was looking at it and I was like, what the heck is Rice University? And that's a sentiment that I still kind of hold to this day. So now, the last team that will be in this one will be in the top 100, but just barely. Barely cracking that list is going to be the Middle Tennessee Blue Raiders. I think they're MTSU, so Middle Tennessee State Blue Raiders. Uh, they're another team in Conference USA where it's just sort of apathy for them. Actually, a little bit of a switch up. We're going to have Middle Tennessee at 99 and Western Kentucky at 100. I like their new uniforms a lot better than I liked their old ones. An exciting style of offense, typically at Western. They're a team that's really grown on me a little bit recently. Again, it was mainly the switch up of uniforms. Uh, but it's going to be interesting to see who their starting quarterback is because they have a quarterback battle that has yet to be resolved between TJ Finley and Caden Beltcamp. So we are now into the double digits as opposed to the triple digits, and we are going to continue on with uh, Florida Atlantic. So uh, FAU, just not a team that I have a lot of investment in. I much prefer FIU. Um, Also, you could probably sense a little bit of a theme here. I'm not the hugest fan of Owls as a mascot. So Florida Atlantic, Rice, and Temple operating the tiers of teams that I'm not a huge fan of. I just think there's better out there mascot wise. And now we're gonna get our first Arkansas team off the table. The Razorbacks. And this one, again, partially because of uh, some of the Twitter uh, members of the fan base, very vocal and staunchly anti-Missouri Tigers. They will say, "Oh, you're not our real rival," and then we live rent-free in their head. So have your actions match your words. Let's see. After them, we're gonna go with Arkansas State. So getting both Arkansas schools off the board back to back. I like the Red Wolves better than the Razorbacks. I like that they have a waterfall that goes off with every touchdown. I like Butch Jones for the most part as a head coach. I don't know that many of the players for their team, so it prevents me from really putting them up to the next level. Also, the Razorbacks have sort of sullied Arkansas as a state for me a little bit. Next up, we are going to take out the Liberty Flames. Uh, now, Liberty is a very good team in Conference USA, one of the best teams in Conference USA. I could see them having a very uh, strong run again in Conference USA. But pieces I like. I like Jamie Chadwell. I like Kadon Salter. But I cannot find myself liking Liberty University. I can't find myself putting them higher than 95. And that's just personal reasons. But then again, that's exactly what this list is. It's entirely 100% personal. So, uh, Liberty going in at 95. Moving forward, we are going to say, I think Baylor's going to go next. No, Buffalo. Buffalo's going next. The Buffalo Bulls are going next. And part of that is because they sound like the Buffalo Bills, and I'm not a huge fan of them. But also, I thought about who I would want to win in a matchup of these two teams, and I would root for Northern Illinois over Buffalo. So Northern Illinois going to occupy that 93 space. Now, from here is where it gets a little tough. We're going to eliminate Kentucky with Brock Vandergriff. And again, just out of the three teams that I have left in this tier, my least favorite of them, I would. The reason why I almost eliminated Utah State but stopped is because I remembered that their quarterback room is filled with a couple players that didn't make it at the Power Five level, but are especially quarterbacks that are trying to make it at the Group of Five level. So it's going to be Spencer Petras, who formerly an Iowa Hawkeye, operated at one point the worst offense in all of college football back in 2022. I don't know the stats. I don't know if the 2023 Iowa offense was somehow worse, uh, but they certainly were there. And then finally, at number 90, we are going to have the Baylor Bears. Baylor certainly could occupy a space in the mediocre tier. You know what? You know what? That's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to move them up. So Baylor going to be moved up into the mediocre tier. Because I think that there are some teams that I would prefer Baylor over that are in the mediocre tier. So that's what I'm going to do. I know it's a rough end to the video to say, hey, the last team that I was supposed to rank today, I'm moving it up into another tier, but you know what? I make the rules, so deal with it. But here are some of the rankings. So a quick little recap. At 119, we have Georgia Southern, followed by Penn State, Stanford, Western Michigan, and Florida State coming in at 115. 114 is Temple. 113 is BYU, the Ohio Bobcats, and Duke Blue Devils at 112 and 111. 110, Marshall. 109, Rutgers. SMU at 108. Tennessee at 107. Tulsa at 106. Louisiana Tech at 105. 104 is Wake Forest. 103, Miami of Ohio. 102, Texas A&M. 101 is Rice. 100, Western Kentucky. 99, Middle Tennessee. 98, FAU. 97, Arkansas. 96, Arkansas State. 95, Liberty. 94, the Buffalo Bulls. 93, Northern Illinois. 92, Kentucky. And 91, Utah State. So that will do it for the dislike tier. Let me know uh, if you think I did a good job with these rankings. If you dislike these rankings, just you know, shoot me a message over at Zeke.ollege football on Instagram. And then you could also drop that in the comment section below. I do read all my comments, uh, like the good little YouTuber I am. So if you write something in the comments, positive or negative, I will see it. I will read it, and I will respond to it. I prefer constructive criticism, if you feel so strongly. But yeah, if there's something that you think I can do better to make these videos more enjoyable, please let me know. I would love to hear it. If there's any topic that you want me to talk about, anything that you're yearning for, and you're like, I want to see what Zeke-ollege football has to say about that, let me know. Because it's it's a long off season, and although I am working, I will try my best to get around to it. I've been trying to get weekly uploads. I fell behind this past week. It was a very busy week. My girlfriend came to visit. It's not an excuse, but um, I like making these kind of videos for you guys, and I just hope that you guys are enjoying it. Um, but in the meantime, I hope that you all stay happy, stay healthy, and I will see you all in the next video.